Coming up in the news, Member of Parliament for North Abaco focusing on 7 key pillars to propel economic growth. The Grand Bahama Power Company explaining the reason for recent outages. And tonight we will hear from the country's High Commissioner to Canada. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, I'm Natalia Hall. Thank you so much for tuning in. Debate on the 2021-2022 budget communication continuing in the House of Assembly this morning. A number of parliamentarians giving their contribution, including the Member of Parliament for North Abaco, who outlined a number of initiatives underway for that northern island. Megan Shepherd reports.
Abaco will be bigger. It will be better. It will be stronger and more resilient because of Hurricane Dorian.
Minister of Foreign Affairs and Member of Parliament for North Abaco, the Honourable Darren Henfield, supporting the 2021-2022 fiscal budget titled Accelerate Bahamas Recovery Plan. As it relates to his constituency in North Abaco, Minister Henfield says that he wants residents to know that this budget includes 7 pillars, all of which will be implemented to spur economic recovery. He says the future for that island is bright.
We in Abaco, Mr. Speaker, are not just poised to recover, but to thrive in a post-Dorian, post-pandemic Bahamas. We will do so through home construction, through commerce, through education, through commercialization of our air and seaports, through food security initiatives, and through sheer innovation.
Noting a report by the United States Federal Emergency Management Agency that says 15 years is the average recovery time post a disaster such as Hurricane Dorian. He says that this will not be the case for the island of Abaco. Minister Henfield says that not only is the island poised to recover, but thrive.
When others saw calamity and destruction and chaos, there were some of us who saw tremendous opportunities. And so despite the naysayers, and admittedly the amount of work left to be done, Abaco is on the mend and poised to go to the next level. I believe that. Let me say that the government's policy to allow the continuance of the search in order to ease the burden of the already burdened people in Abaco and Grand Bahama is a clear indication that we recognize that the full recovery of the economy of the Bahamas cannot and will not be realized without the strength and vibrancy that Abaco and Grand Bahama brings to the table.
He says that the government is working to help Bahamians achieve the dream of home ownership, noting that 3 potential sites have already been identified to develop new communities. These include Central Pines, Wilson City, and Spring City.
The government will provide the land, put in the infrastructure, and then give it to you at cost, where you can take your land paper to a lending institution that is approved and say, here's my land deeds. I have 17,500 in equity. I'm talking to the young people in Murphytown. I'm talking to young people in Dundas Town and in Central Pines and in Crown Haven and Little Abaco. I'm talking to the young people in Treasure Key and Grand Key. You hear what Doug just telling me? Abaco and Grand Bahama, because of the devastation, gets a further 50% reduction.
Touting the benefits of public-private partnerships, Minister Henfield added that the Disaster Reconstruction Agency has already cleared the proposed site for the building of homes donated by the Bakers Bay Group.
It is anticipated that construction on the 5 model homes in that community will commence within the next 2 to 3 weeks. Now, I'm sure there are going to be more than 50 homes. I'm almost positive of that. And these homes will be given to Bahamians whose homes were destroyed, who lost their homes in the storm, will be given to them free. Free. Grants. No payments.
He also announced that the Ministry of Housing, through the government's Service Lot Land Initiative, is set to replicate the Carmichael Housing Initiative in the community of Central Pines.
It is contemplated that that development of some 60, will include some 60 homes, and that's more homes for young Bahamians, for young Abaconian families. Grand Bahamians, plenty Grand Bahamians in Abaco too, 60 homes. Phase 1 of the project anticipates the building of 20 homes. Will commence, we hope, before the end of the summer.
Megan Shepard, 7S Network News.
Now, the Foreign Affairs Minister announcing in Parliament today that the Bahamas now has a new ambassador to Canada. In this report, the new High Commissioner, a former cabinet minister from Grand Bahama, is talking about this diplomatic post and what he would like to accomplish while in office. Former Housing and Public Works Minister in the Ingram administration and former Member of Parliament for East Grand Bahama, Kenneth Russell, is the country's new High Commissioner to Canada. He replaces His Excellency Alvin Smith, who completed his tour of duty last November. His Excellency Kenneth Russell left the Bahamas in March and officially took office in April, following a 2-week quarantine period. He says this new role gives him another opportunity to serve his country, and one of his main goals is to create a database of all Bahamians living in Canada.
In terms of where they are, who they are, where they're from in the Bahamas, what are they, if they're studying here, what studies are they doing? If they're working here, what jobs are they working, so that anytime there's a question back home about either persons who are qualified to do certain things and whatnot, we would have that in database format already, and we'll be able to assist in the country touching base with these persons who we'll probably be able to use in the future.
His Excellency Kenneth Russell says he hopes to continue to build on the positive relationship that currently exists between the Bahamas and Canada.
We can take advantage of whatever Canada has to offer. I know that in talking with the Prime Minister, he feels as though the Bahamas and Canada have a very good relationship, and both of us intend to work towards bettering the relationship. And he can't wait to visit the Bahamas as soon as possible after this COVID-19 pandemic is over.
The Bahamas is a popular tourism destination for Canadians. Russell says he will work along with the Ministry of Tourism to increase airlift to the Bahamas once COVID-19 restrictions are lifted in Canada, as the country is still on lockdown.
We're also trying to seek as best we can to help some of these folks who are quote unquote stranded in Canada. We have approximately about 30 or a little under 30 that are still here trying to get home. We're doing our best to help them get their visa, U.S. visa, because we can still travel through the United States to get back to the Bahamas. And we're advising them what they need to do.
The High Commissioner noting that the diplomatic post came as a bit of a surprise, but he says he will do all that he can to assist Bahamians.
I seek to come into office at least every other day to ensure that if there are any concerns from anybody who is calling in or who is coming into the office, there's normally 4 of us here making sure that whatever people need to do, they can do. And the good thing about it is that my consular person, he don't have no problem coming in even on weekend. If someone call him and say they're coming in here on a weekend and they need their passport that we have here, he will make time to come and deal with that for them.
In other news, the Grand Bahama Power Company has begun the process of testing and commissioning Unit 33 at the power plant. As a result, some residents and businesses have experienced power outages. Well, tonight, officials at GBPC are giving an update on the testing and the way forward. Shoshina Rolf-Farquharson reports.
For the past 3 days, Grand Bahama has experienced daily power outages. Vice President of Operations Tony Seymour explains that due to the loss of the baseload plant on Peel Street as a result of Hurricane Dorian, they are steadily working to rebuild the plant and commission the first of 3 plants through testing.
So over the past few weeks, we've been running up the unit, testing it, loading it up, and then The final of the test is the 100% load rejection test, which is what we would have been doing leading up to the outages yesterday and the day before, where we put the engine to full load and then intentionally open the breaker to see how the unit responds. And that's basically winding down the commissioning stages of the first of the 3 units that were damaged.
But there are still 2 more units left for testing.
It's going to be a sequential testing and commissioning phase until we get the full plant back up and operational.
But the Vice President says a completion date cannot be given at this time, which means the outages will continue. The good news is customers are made aware of the outages through the company's social media outlets.
We don't just, run up the engine and then trip it without giving you some notice that your supply may be interrupted briefly. It should be noted that the outages were not very long, so they probably were not more than 20 minutes at any given time as it relates to the testing and commissioning of the units that we have been doing in the past couple.
Seymour adds that the outages are not island-wide, but does affect residential and commercial customers. So the question is, can these outages cause damage to consumer appliances?
Should not affect any appliances in your home. If your appliances are being affected, the main, most likely cause of that is that your home may not be properly grounded, which you can have an electrician come in and check for you. Or if you feel like your appliances were damaged as a result of some of the testing that we may have been doing, the damage claim form is available on our website. You can fill it out and submit it, and we'll send out a crew to come and do an investigation at your home.
Shashina Rolf-Farkson, ZNS Network News.
Labor leaders assembling for the traditional Labor Night, the celebration hosted by the Coalition for Labor Northern Bahamas, taking place at the Bahamas Union of Teachers Hall. As we hear in this report, the celebrations were held in honor of BUT's top executive on Grand Bahama. Jamila Mizik reports.
It was an evening filled with warm remarks and well wishes. A night of labor was held to celebrate this year's Labor Day honoree, Area Vice President for the Bahamas Union of Teachers on Grand Bahama, Quentin LaRota. LaRota receiving the 2021 award for his contributions to the labor movement. Among those paying tribute was Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture and Member of Parliament for Central Grand Bahama, the Honorable Aram Lewis, describing LaRota as a true nation builder.
The work you've done will speak for you. The life that you live speaks for you, and the service that you give is now speaking for you. And it's because of that service that you're being honored here tonight. And there's no greater honor, as spoken by the great actor Cary Grant, than to be honored by your colleagues. So for that, you deserve another round of applause.
Also bringing congratulatory remarks was Minister of Agriculture and Marine Resources and Member of Parliament for Marco City, the Honorable Michael Pintard.
I appreciate you for offering guidance to us so that we consistently behave in the right way to do the job we've been called to do. And all of us entered the jobs that we're in with our eyes wide open. So I want to say publicly, encompassed by this great cloud of brilliant witnesses, my brother, I appreciate you. I love you for the way you love our people, and you demonstrate that love in serving them. And I salute you, because you set the example. There are some folks in this country who have name-face recognition, and it counts for naught in terms of changing our condition and moving the needle forward. But someone like you, we need to hold up as an exemplar of the best of what this country has ever produced.
While accepting his award, LaRota noting that it was particularly important to him because he was still alive to witness the honor. He took the opportunity to thank everyone for their support.
When I think of the honor tonight, all my head was full of is to say, who I can thank. Because there's so many people who have invested in who I am and who I became, and what I believe and what I think. So it was never about me. It was always about those who contributed to me being who I am. It's hard for me to walk away from somebody who is asking for my help. God asked me, are you a people? Someday, when I face it, when I answer that, I want to be able to say, yeah. And that's how I live my life.
Introducing the Employer of the Year was Vice President of the BHMA and the Commonwealth of the Bahamas Trade Union Congress, Kirk Russell. This year's recipients of the Alexander Thompson Award are owners of Express Food Mart, Peter and Shauna Taylor.
Those employees have said that Mr. and Mrs. Peter Taylor gives them the kind of treatment, the kind of fairness, the kind of justice that we sincerely need through the length and breadth of this Bahamas as it relates to employers towards their employees.
We want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. This has not been an easy road. We could not have done this without you. Grand Bahamians. We could not have done it without our staff. And coming before you in a minute is our longest serving staff at Express Food Mart. And we are grateful to our staff. We're grateful to you because we know everyone in hair shops at Express Food. We thank you.
ZNS Network News.
Now to news from the court. Campbell Roll, age 34 of Hampshire Drive, South Bahamia, was taken before Magistrate Charlton Smith this morning to answer the charges of possession of an unlicensed firearm, possession of ammunition with intent to supply, and possession of dangerous drugs with intent to supply. Roll pleaded not guilty on all counts. He was granted bail for the firearm and ammunition charges in the amount of $8,000 with one suretor. Bail was also granted for possession of dangerous drugs with the intent to supply in the amount of $8,000 with one suretor. Campbell Roll is required to sign in to the Central Police Station on Mondays before 6 p.m. The matter was adjourned until September 6 for trial. Also from the court, Heron Lane resident, 29-year-old Cordell Dean, appearing before Magistrate LaQuay Lang today on 1 count of causing damage, 6 counts of stealing from a vehicle, 1 count of vagrancy, and 1 count of stealing from a shop. He pled guilty to all charges and was sentenced to 2 years at the Bahamas Department of Corrections. Police say the charges stem from incidents that occurred in the downtown area last month. And police still need your help in locating 36-year-old Norrell Anthony Store of number 123 Scott Avenue in Freeport. Store is wanted for questioning on housebreaking and stealing charges. He is between 5 feet 11 inches and 6 feet 1 inch. He is of dark brown complexion and medium build. Now, if you know the whereabouts of Norrell Anthony Store tonight, please contact the Northeastern Police Station at telephone number 350-3400. Now stay with us. There's more news right after this break.